Hey everyone, it's Deborah Eckerling, the author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and founder of the Deb Method. And welcome back to another edition of Goal Chat Live. I'm so excited. We just started this show a few weeks ago, but this is our first monthly goals goal chat. And what better guest for me to have today than Desiree Duffy, who, shall we say, knows from her own experience how important it is to re-envision and reboot and just completely rejigger goals. So Desiree Duffy, among other things, is the founder of LABookFest, which is a virtual event happening this week. And I'm going to let her introduce the rest of her because she does so many things. I don't want to miss anything. Welcome, Desiree. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you, Deb. This is fun. Thank you for asking me to be here. It's quite an honor. And congratulations on doing this show. I mean, this in itself as a goal is quite an accomplishment. So bravo to you for doing this.
Well, I thank you. And we have to give kudos to Brenda Knight and Mango Publisher, my publisher, because first of all, they're awesome. And second of all, I've been doing Goal Chat, the Twitter chat, for this is my third year. And I always kind of had in my mind that it would be fun to do a Facebook Live version. And then the opportunity, I was invited to do it. So I'm thrilled to have the forum, but also to be able to help more people, which
I
is
love it.
which is what you're doing because basically events have been canceled. And I know you normally do a lot of events.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, segueing back to that. Well, first of all, yes, I founded LA Book Fest like last month. Before that, as a longer term goal, I founded Black Chateau Enterprises, and we are now in our fourth year. We're a PR and marketing firm, full service for books and authors. We also have Books That Make You, which is a consumer facing website and brand. So that's all about book contests and shows and articles and fun. That's at booksthatmakeyou.com. And then I also, last year, I got the license for TEDx Reseda Boulevard, and I founded that and did our first TEDx event. And that kind of segues back into what you were saying. We're not doing events right now, unfortunately. And one of the big events that we always did for our authors here in Los Angeles is the biggest book festival in the nation, the LA Times Festival of Books, which is an amazing event and a great venue. And we're always there with a booth and our authors, and we do book signings, and we have media there, and again, prizes, and just we have all of this stuff going on as part of this book fest. And when that got postponed, it's now postponed until October, and hopefully it comes back. But not only that, but other events. In New York, there's Book Expo and Book Con. And we always do the Beachbound Book Bash, which is an annual literary tea. And there's all sorts of cons and conventions and things. And I just thought, well, I can sit here and mope and, watch all my poor clients who were hoping and were looking forward. We were planning. We were there. We, bought the space. We were starting to do the marketing. Or we can be proactive and do something about it. And that is where we came up with LA Book Fest. And we said, let's do it online. And just like so many people are doing, there's so many online conferences and people adapting. It feels a little bit like the Wild West because this technology has always been here or been here long enough. Like there's a lot of us that have been on Zoom and using different platforms and things for a while now. But one of the things that having the social distancing and events being canceled, et cetera, has done for our society as a whole is it's kind of forced some people to adapt in ways that they might not have felt comfortable with. Even just a couple of weeks ago, I have people who are like, I can Zoom. I want a background. Where's my background? Can't I? And like this person 2 weeks ago wouldn't have even have been able to open up a Skype conversation. So it's kind of fun in that respect that so many people are now saying, hey, we can experiment. We can do this. We've given ourselves permission, I feel, to tackle this. And it's okay if things don't run as smooth as silk. We're all a little bit more forgiving, I think, because of this new environment that we're all dealing with. So that's how it started.
Well, and it's so true. And I've been doing a series of workshops for Women's National Book Association San Francisco chapter. And it's really just getting people more comfortable with, well, the first one was on rebooting your goals. The second one was on social media. I'm doing one this month on embracing the new networking, which is online events, mixers, Zooms, whatever. And the bonus, and I feel like I say this every week because I think I probably do, is you can be everywhere. I mean, I don't want to say it wouldn't occur to me to go to New York, but it's so much easier. And I was looking forward to Festival of Books because this is my third book, but my first like actual physical you can hold in your handbook. And I was so excited. Ooh, my first LA Times Festival of Books. And then, okay, life's canceled. But because it's been canceled, it's made way for so many opportunities. So when I do my monthly goal chat, we start with what was your biggest win in April. And I think I kind of just did mine because I've done a lot of speaking and conferences. It's been fun. What was your biggest win last month? And then we're going to go into May goals. And if you're watching either live or in the replay, please share your wins so we can celebrate you too.
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, I'm just going to focus on that book fast because when we started putting it together, and we've done online events before. We do an annual Jingle Books Facebook party. It's on Facebook. And yeah, you can imagine it's just fun. We're all in the event for it in that chat room, hanging out and doing our thing. And so at first it's like, well, we can do at least that. We know that's what we can hit. But setting a goal, what could we do if we aimed a little higher? And that's where I asked our website developer, I said, hey, do they have sites, like pre-built sites that we can utilize? And he's like, yeah, but nothing that's really going to give you what you want. And I'm like, can you make it for me? And he said, yeah. So that was really it. It was just really sitting down, mapping out the website, deciding what we wanted, what we didn't, how to create an online event that mimicked what you might find at the LA Times Book Fest or in New York. So we have virtual booths because everybody has a booth there. That's part of it. So for our sponsors and our friends, there are virtual booths. You have a virtual booth there.
I do. That's why I was smiling. I'm like, yay.
Yep. And then we also want to have panels and conversations. So we're doing that. We also wanted to have that fun interactive aspect that we have on the Facebook Jingle Books parties because people are asking questions in real time. So we decided to do an Ask an Author chat. So we incorporated all these elements. And then as I was going through my friends list, I have this amazing friend. Her name is Lisa Goich, and she works with Mitch Albom, who is the author of Tuesdays with Maury, which people may remember from 20 some years ago. He has a recent book out. He's doing a podcast called Tuesday People, and I've checked that out. And I thought, that's amazing. Wouldn't it be cool if Mitch wanted to do something with Lisa? And so when that happened, that was like the goal in April where, I asked. And the next thing I know, she was putting me in touch with his people and publicist. And he said yes. And then we started asking other people. And I want to just put a pin in that because sometimes people are afraid to even ask and they have a goal, but then they're afraid to follow through. And it doesn't hurt to ask. And sometimes when you do, people say yes. And then that helped elevate the event even higher and higher. And I'm going to give you and your listeners and your viewers a scoop because I just asked somebody else this month who I think is awesome. And he's going to be participating in the Book Fest. And it's Danny Trejo, the man who...
I saw that.
He is going to read Goodnight Moon, the iconic bedtime story, at the end of the festival. Plus, he has a cookbook coming out, so it's perfect timing. So those are my two big things between April and May in pulling this book fest together.
And the thing that you just said, which I pulled out I'm like chatting and putting out, I love StreamYard. When you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yep.
And because it's the Wild West right now and everybody's doing their own thing and learning as they go, why not reach big? Right?
Exactly. And I mean, we have, don't get me wrong, we have so many other fantastic authors and people participating now, yourself included. And likewise, you came to me and you asked. You saw me post something, I think it was probably on Facebook or Twitter. Hey, wouldn't it be great if we did this festival? And that's me just kind of
yes,
teasing. And you're like, yeah, me. And the next thing you know, we're talking, and we'd met before, but we got to know each other. And my answer to you was, yes, let's do this. Let's figure out where we can have you fit in. And obviously you're fitting in lots of different ways. So yeah, that's what you got to do.
And what's exciting for me, so I was in Russell Nolte's Online Writers Conference, which was a few weeks ago, and he just did Alt Free Comic Book Day, and he also, mutual friend of ours. Yeah. I met both of you at the Greater Los Angeles Writers Society's event, California Creative Writers Conference. So many different acronyms. I literally met you guys like a week before everything closed. And for me, you also have to not only just ask, but look for the symmetry. And I talk about this in my chapter reading that I'm doing for the fest, because I talk about mottos. When you know what you're doing, what you stand for, your outreach, when you have a motto, it's really easy to find things. When you put out to the universe what you want, what I stand for is goal setting simplified, because I believe that, the work you have to put into making your dream become a reality, it should be fun, but it's going to take you time and energy. You should always be focusing on the thing that really fuels you. And for me, helping people live the life they want is what gets me excited. So when people like you or Russell, and I'm seeing all sorts of fun events pop up, when you find these things and you see the symmetry, you kind of have to jump up and say, yes, please. Right?
Oh, exactly. And you're right. I mean, I obviously know Russell, and GLAS, the Greater Los Angeles Writers Society, was kind of the sticky stuff that pulled us together. And it really is. It's cool how when you kind of start down that path, then that it's networking, right? It opens you up to so many opportunities and different people.
Okay, so I'm going to veer off because I can. And for people who are watching this, who are like, I want to speak more, but I haven't. Let's start with that question. What do you recommend for them?
That is a great goal to have. And depending upon what your ultimate goal is, that might inform what kind of speaking you want to do. For example, I obviously work with a lot of authors, and especially the nonfiction authors like yourself. Their book might be a calling card to something else. Workshops that they're doing, online courses that they're having. Maybe they're doing retreats, corporate retreats. Maybe they go in and do trainings. That book helps establish who they are and their branding. So when you're looking at speaking, the first thing I want to know is, what type of speaking do you want to do? Do you want to elevate your brand because of it and elevate yourself within your business community? Is that what your goal is? Are you looking for more people to sign up and subscribe to your workshops or your online events? So depending upon what that is can inform the type of speaking that you might want to do. And one of the ultimate things that people tend to want, you hear it all the time, I want to do a TEDx talk. That tends to be the pinnacle, right? And you're laughing because you know it's true. I want to do a TEDx talk. And so knowing that, I didn't want to do a TEDx talk myself. Maybe someday, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was being able to create a platform for a lot of voices. Underneath it all, my goal and the foundation of Black Chateau, the foundation of LABookFest, of Books That Make You of Everything, is this realization that I have one single voice. And thank you for letting me spout it off on here. But it's singular. And there's only so much exponential growth I can have with that one voice. But when I help elevate many voices with my Black Chateau authors, or with a TEDx talk, or the LABookFest, well, then I'm contributing in a much bigger way. So that's the way I saw it. And with TEDx, if somebody's goal is to do a TEDx talk, then there's a lot of very specific steps that they should do. But again, I'm just going to pull that back to whether it's a TEDx talk or doing a workshop or doing a keynote speech or a presentation, figure out what it is you ultimately want, because that'll help you decide which type of talk and which type of speech you might want to do.
And the reason I was laughing, I don't know if you remember this, is that's what started our conversation. I met you through Flo because you were on a panel together, Flo Selfman from iWask and pretty much everything in LA. And I met you and I said, oh, so you're hosting TEDx's. What do I need to know?
Exactly. And I do remember that. I remember that very well. Yeah. So, and, I can talk a little bit too about a TEDx talk, just because that tends to be that pinnacle. And one of the things that's really important there, and I think this translates to a lot of things, and this is why TED and TEDx talks are as popular as they are, but you need that big idea. And that's really hard. And a lot of times people think they have a big idea, but really they just have a concept. It's a little bit flowing and ethereal and not focused. So one of the things that I recommend is having a big idea and thinking about how this big idea is going to change or inspire the people who are listening to that talk. So that's kind of like the core and the secret, well, the not so secret part of doing a TEDx talk. Oh, it looks like you're muted there. There
no,
you're back.
I was just replying to Jennifer Gilmore, who comes sometimes to my Goal Chat Live or my Goal Chat regular on Twitter. I'm up late, so I'm managing to catch you. She's in the UK. I have people who get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to participate in my Twitter chat.
Oh, wow.
That's
awesome.
How awesome is that? So, Jennifer, as long as you're here, we're going to give you a shout out in the StreamYard. Thank you for joining us. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about this big idea, because I don't think that just applies to TED. I think, again, with my book, it's all about figuring out what you want and how to get it. And it starts with Goaltopia. Mm-hmm. Where is that ideal place you live where you're happy and your dreams have become a reality? The very, very short version of that. So what do you define as a big idea? Because I think that's important as well. I had this conversation actually twice last week with two different people who had multiple types of websites they were putting together. And the question I got was, do I need separate or together? And I'm like, you should figure out what you want and umbrella everything so it's a unified voice. So that's part of it. But the big idea is another really important part. So why don't you go down that road for a minute?
Sure. And let's face it, a lot of creative folks have this. We have so many ideas and we can't focus. And it kind of gets down to the core of what branding is. I feel that that's a foundational type of a thing, is our branding. I have a brand. You have a brand. Obviously, you know branding well. And especially writers and creatives. And if they're dabbling in different things, they're like, well, I write romance novels and I write horror novels and I want to start a hot dog stand and I want to, and the next thing you know, they're like, how do I put all of these things in one basket? And in some cases, I believe you can. I believe that you can't have more than 3, maybe 4 things. And you should look for the through line for them, because they all need to pull back to you. And once you find that, that is your big idea or your brand. Now, in the world of a TEDx talk, and likewise in the world of just big ideas in general, they are elegant. They're simple. They're something that's going to make you go, wow. They're not a 10-page thesis. They are not a big, long movie or a series. They are singular. It's one thing. And again, it goes back to, if somebody was going to explain what your big idea was to somebody else, how would they say it? So there's many things that we as writers often do to get there. You've heard of the elevator pitch. You've heard of the log line. You've heard of all of these things. But whatever you want to call it, mission statement, your goal, it's singular, it's defined, it's focused.
It's so true. Okay, so I always recommend journaling when people are out of sorts for how to focus, really rein in all their gazillion different ideas. Do you have any techniques you recommend for helping people sort of narrow down?
I like visual things. I'm a visual person, actually. So, journaling, absolutely. If that's what gets you going, then do that. I also like people to put together a vision board. And in many cases, I'll put together a vision board for them, or it's a collaborative process. And a lot of times there's some questions, just some drilling down to find those commonalities. It's amazing what you can find if you ask somebody to start finding images of things that they like and just throwing them together. A lot of times I'll ask people, what's the primary color when you look in your closet? I don't ask them what their favorite color is because a lot of times you get two different answers. So I look for the things that are almost like that through line, but in different areas. And then that is the thing that I'll pull out because that is the thing that I'll hold true. When you find somebody who's like, well, when I open my closet, I see nothing but reds and oranges, but my favorite color is blue. I kind of wonder if it really is. And when you can find so much out about somebody's personality as well. Well, if there's reds and oranges, this person probably has passion and is fiery. So we'll go down that path. So again, just to kind of keep that simple, it's really finding the things that you have in common in all of these different areas. And if you're a visual person like me, just start putting visual images together, just things you like. You can Google it and just snap images and stick them into a PowerPoint presentation or whatever you might have. And then look back at it. And even much like you might do with journaling, I think it's the same concept. It might be something that you do and then you put it away and you don't look at it again for a week or two so that you're looking at it with fresh eyes. The same as you might do with your writing. You put it away so that you can see it again anew. So that's my advice there.
That I completely agree with you, because in addition to the journaling, first of all, I've got hacks for if you don't want to write, to do visual things, and I call it a goal map. So that's my little version of the vision board, is when you close your eyes and you think of the life you want, what does that look like and what does it represent to you? So we're definitely on the same page. And just because it's funny, I always tell people blue is my power color, but my favorite color growing up was orange. And wouldn't you know that the colors of my book, there is absolutely no way Mango knew this, but that was the color of my bedroom growing up, is I had these orange and yellow flowers on the wall. So how?
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that like the universe saying, okay, I know you think blue is your favorite color, but...
Oh, that's funny. See, I didn't know that. It sounds like we staged that, but we didn't.
We didn't. Okay. And Jennifer wants to know, do you draw on real life experience? So is that for, can you give us a little bit more about your question, Jennifer? Do you mean for the things we create or what? I think there might be a lag to hearing about it, but for the things that, well, what I can say is, I've been leading goal setting groups and coaching for 20 years. And I only admit that because, I've been doing this a long time. My background is communications and project management. So it all kind of flows together with the writers groups that I started in Chicago and then LA that evolved into support for writers, creatives, and entrepreneurs. And with my writing, every now and then I do fiction, but even my fiction is based in reality. And my stories, and I love stories. If anybody wants someone to tell a short story long, I am up to the task. But I think that's kind of what makes everybody unique. And I think I was talking about this at my the social media workshop I led last week. A lot of people have very similar experiences or topics that they feel expertise in, things that they really truly love, but we all come from it, from our own personal experience, our different backgrounds, education, everything, our life, our environment. So we can color and food is always the best example. How many food bloggers are out there? A ton. But everybody has a different experience, and that's what they bring to it.
Absolutely.
And Jennifer said, I thought we were talking fiction, nonfiction. I think you need to use everything you have, don't you, Desiree?
I do. And you touched on something that I think is so poignant. We all perceive the world differently. Take the word tree. Deborah, what's the first thing that pops into your head when I say tree?
I see leaves and just a beautiful big tree that's like a great place to take a book and read under.
See? And that's because that's your perspective. Mm-hmm. Somebody else might see a pine tree. They might see the tree in their front yard that had the tire swing on it. I happen to see a very iconic tree that you might find illustrated in a child's book. I don't see a realistic tree in my mind's eye. I see a drawing. Other people might see it realistic. Some people might focus on the color, the green leaves or the yellow leaves, the bark. We all have a different perspective on that. So something as simple as tree or dog, it comes with our emotions, our past, our history, and our perception. So even if you're writing fiction or nonfiction, you'll notice that people don't necessarily talk about the same things the same ways. We all bring our different experiences to that. You know, even colors. I can't be 100% certain that yellow of your book, I've got it here too, by the way.
I love it.
See, I see right now, this yellow is different than the yellow on your wall. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now that just is probably because I'm holding the book. You've got a sign, different cameras, different lighting. But there's nothing in this world that tells me that I see yellow the same way you see yellow. There's animals in this world that see on the ultraviolet spectrum. There are people who taste cilantro when you talk about food and say that it tastes soapy to them. And I'm like, no, it's
right.
It's delicious. How can you not like cilantro? So the thing is we as writers, when we're creative, when we're creating worlds, all we can do is bring our experiences to it. And when you find those commonalities, that I think is the beautiful thing about fiction writing, because we bring our truth to it and other people identify with it. And it resonates because it hits on their own truth.
I completely agree. And I have to backtrack. There's one more kind of tree you didn't mention.
Oh, what's that?
The family tree.
Oh, see, there you go. There you go. And you can riff off of that. It could be the tree of life.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a tree in programming, a hierarchy. Like different people are going to see that differently, I bet. And that might be a fun thing to have in the chat or to do on Twitter. But just ask people their different perceptions. And it has to be the first thing that comes into their mind. I bet you we all perceive it differently, similar. And yet at the same time, we would all recognize each other's tree. We wouldn't look at somebody and say, that's not a tree, that's a rock. We'll all get it because we all have that commonality.
Okay, I'm putting it up here. What is your perception of a tree, except it's like lagging in the posting, but it'll be there. Okay, here we go. What is your perception of a tree? And when my group first started, when it was strictly a writer's group, I would do writing exercises where I would say things like key or glass or feet. Feet's good because feet and feet and feet, right?
Sure, exactly. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I am digressing completely, but that's totally fine. Okay, so you've rebooted, you've re-envisioned, you've basically gone into this conference, which is, I mean, you even have an after party. I mean, talk about really trying to recreate an IRL experience online. It's absolutely wonderful. What advice do you have for someone who's like, I really want to do this, but they're like, they're doing that little hesitation thing?
I say, if it's your passion and it aligns with your goals, to go forward with confidence. And I tend to be very conservative in the things that I do because I want them to be as perfect as possible. And what I always tell myself is I give myself permission to make mistakes, because that's what's going to hold us back, the fear of failure. And go forward with confidence, map it out, and do it. And if you're like me creating this event or creating anything, it's okay, again, to make those mistakes along the way, but then also just think about who you might be able to pull in to help you. Who's going to be your supporters? Who's going to keep you on track? It's you with the Deb method, definitely. Who can you share your accomplishments with? Because I think that setting those milestones and having a cheerleading section, even if it's friends on Twitter or social media, I think that can help a lot too.
And that's really the purpose behind everything I do, which is we all need that cheerleading section, because we just do. Especially at times like this, when so many people are trying so many different new things. And if it doesn't work, guess what? You could try something else. And it goes back to where you see yourself now and where you want to go, whatever that goaltopia is, whether it's author, speaker, all the above, in what order, what are you going to do? It's see what you want, give it some thought, plan it out, and have people who have your back. And I love that you said resources as well, because I'm constantly, and I say this in the book too, when you're exploring your different things, take a look around you. Look at your connectors and your connections. Do your research, because you won't know everything, but you will at least know people who either know things or know people who know things.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of that old, it sounds so cheesy, but remember the children's story, Stone Soup? Where
Yes.
They came into town and they had the stone, and then everybody started contributing. And next thing you know, everybody had this awesome soup with all of this stuff in it. I kind of feel that, a lot of times our goals are that way too, because you'll find the people along the way that are going to bring the carrots or the celery. You don't need the celery and the carrots. Somebody else will bring that to the table. And if not, if you get meat and broccoli, then that's okay too. So allowing yourself to have a little bit of flexibility and to have something that organically happens, I think that's part of it too.
I'm not going to say anything else, because I think that is, you used a soup analogy. I love soup so much. You don't know. But we're all in this together as we're making our way through the new world. Ask for help. Ask for carrots.
Yeah.
And someone might have celery instead, and that's good too. But the big part, which you and I are both saying, and we're repeating ourselves because it's very important, is you're not alone. If you don't have a community, first of all, you could join, your community or my community. You're in more communities than I am. I saw when you were sharing this podcast, but I was like, whoa. But and if you're watching, I would love you to join me. Write On Online has a page for setting and reporting on the weekly and monthly goals. And then the group has daily threads, which is Write On Online, or facebook.com/group/Write On Online. Daily threads to keep you connected and motivated and inspired. And then obviously, if you want to learn more about your goal guide, yourgoalguideroadmap.com, and there's a Facebook group for that too, and my Twitter chat, just go to thedebmethod.com and you can find all of my links. And I have to put this up. I'm so excited about LABookFest, because what you put together, and you have people from everywhere speaking. Why don't you take another minute to let people know how the fest is going to work, what they can expect on Saturday, May 9th.
Okay, you're right. It's very eclectic, and that was by design. Because if you go to a book fest, there's fiction, there's nonfiction, there's journalists, there's different types of writers, there's celebrities, there's cookbooks, there's just all sorts of different things. So we had a finite amount of time, and I almost did 2 days, but then I decided one is going to be good for now. But it really represents a lot of different types of panels and things that you would find elsewhere. For example, I wanted to talk about the future of fiction in specifics, because right now there's people who are writing fiction, and it's going to change because our world just changed. We are living in a real dystopian feeling environment right now. It's almost like, are we going to elevate that? How are books that come out a year from now going to address that? So we have the Future of Fiction panel, and that features Jonathan Mayberry, who you might recognize from V-Wars. He put that together, and that was a recent show on Netflix. As well, Jenna Bush is our moderator. She's amazing. Not Jenna Bush, the ex-president's daughter, but Jenna Bush, that's the writer, the journalist, and she's an author herself. We also have Scott Brody on that. He just released his novel, The Org. We have Edgar Scott. He's got a forthcoming novel, 418, which is just going to be really trippy and fun. We also have, and you know this person, we have Russell Nolte on that. He's going to be talking too, because a lot of what he writes as fiction kind of has this dark, twisted, dystopian type flair to it, as well as Maria Alexander. She's just so prolific. Her most recent book is called Snow, which is a YA novel. So that's that panel. And we also have a panel about journalists. We have some top journalists coming together to talk about integrity in journalism and truth, because right now, the truth in this world is being questioned and attacked in so many different ways. So I wanted to give a platform to the people who are actually, this is their job. This is what they do. Because I don't think it's always fair for them to be attacked, fake news, and when all they're trying to do is bring the truth to people. And I think too, sometimes people should be a little bit careful with what they're reading online and be careful with the conspiracy theories and stuff. So that's a topic that I think is really important. Of course, we have the conversation with Mitch Albom. As well, we have a conversation with Sarah Kendzior, and she has a forthcoming book out. And her previous book was called The View from Flyover Country. And her new book it's kind of a deep dive into Trump and the administration. So she's revealing some things. So I think that is something that's very sobering. And again, something important for us to all listen to. On the flip side of that, we have The Allure of the Memoir. We have Robin Quinn, who's moderating that one. And she has lots of great authors, memoirists on that. Bilal Alaji is on that. Sue Williamson is on that. Sorry, flaked on the name there for a second. Gerald Everett Jones, Ray Richmond, as well as Diana Brown. She wrote an amazing book called Flyover. So I'm not doing justice trying to prattle off all these names, but you can definitely check out the list of events on the page on our website. Thank you. NJ Ayuk, who wrote Billions at Play, he's from the African Energy Chamber in South Africa. He's going to be doing the opening keynote. Ray Mitchell Esquire, she's a boss girl. She's a genius. My God, at some point, I just need to introduce you to Deb. You and her would be dynamite together. She's doing our closing power talk. And then like you heard, we're doing the after party. We've got musical performances with Brandon Cross, Kira Lyons. We also have different segments happening during the festival too. David Ruggiero is a celebrity chef, so he's going to be doing some kind of a recipe so that people can make something while they're in quarantine. We have Aura Nadrich, who's going to do a mindfulness moment so that we can find some ways to balance. And she's got a great book coming out as well. And then we have on the flip side of that, because I like polar opposites. I like balance.
I'm getting that. I'm totally getting that.
We have Embracing Your Crankiness with Stephen Joseph. He's like, no, if you want to be cranky, just go ahead and be cranky. So again, I'm just kind of prattling off the top of my head because there's just so many great authors and things going on. Oh, one more thing. Sarah Winokur. She's the author of Double Blind, which is a Nordic thriller. It's set in Iceland. She's gone to Iceland. She has mittens that were made by the president of Iceland's wife, for crying out loud. So she's going to make a special midnight sun cocktail during the after party. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I saw you were like, does anybody know bartender? So it's really, and I think I'm going to leave this because this makes a really good bonus goal, because there's been a lot of out of the box thinking with what you created. So if you are watching, I want you to just give yourself permission to kind of play with a fun out of the box idea, because why not? You have, and a lot of people are working from home, so you've got a little extra time when you're not commuting, or get up And if you are working and keeping people healthy or fed, thank you, by the way. But give yourself just like, I always wondered what would happen if I did this. And I was working with a client over the weekend who's got like an awesome idea that she's developing. And it's like, it took you working from home and that little extra time and probably a little bit of an extra push from me. But that's where all the great ideas are going to come from, when you give yourself permission to explore and have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun with it, no one's going to have fun with it. So that's my take. Bonus goal is think outside the box. Yeah. Give yourself permission to play with a new idea. Again, I'm going to put this up one more time. Learn all about Desiree and LABookFest at LABookFest.com. You can learn more about your goal guide and Mango at yourgoalguideroadmap.com. And if you want to connect with me rather than me rattling off all my links again, just go to thedebmethod.com. And Desiree, thank you so much for coming over and talking books and being your best self and rejiggering your goals.
Can I say one more thing?
I wish you would.
I saved the best for last. Your panel is...
Hello.
Go back into that. Yeah, you're on the World is Getting Closer panel. And you're going to be talking about this, how doing social media and networking and being online and the environment that we're in, how it's doing just what you're talking about, how it's giving us the ability to have out of the box ideas and ways that it's pulling us together. So I just wanted to give your panel a shout out as well.
Oh, thank you. See, I'm used to that too, though. I give other people a platform. But I'm very excited that we connected, and I'm thrilled to be part of this. And someone who's watching right now might have the next big idea. And if that is you, please connect with me and let me know what you're doing. You can comment or message me. Thank you, everybody. If you're watching live or on the replay, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. And thanks again to Mango for giving me this forum to connect more and to empower more people to really think about what they want and make a plan to get it. I'm Deborah Eckerling. Join me next Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific on Twitter for Goal Chat. And I will be back here next week at 4 p.m. on the Mango page for Goal Chat Live next Monday. Have a great week, everybody. You can do it.